Something I did a recording on last year, but never uploaded it. I was talking about how I feel like as a black person, sometimes I feel like I don't fit into my own community. And this doesn't even have to be just like a race thing. This could be like almost anything where there's like a norm or a stereotype or this vision of what someone is supposed to be in a community. But if someone doesn't fit that, then they're not as accepted as others or as they should be. And in a way, they're outcast or, they're made to feel like they need to conform um, to those stereotypes or what is being that. And in this case, it's what is and is not being black. So, first things first, from let's say, I think it was in middle school. Was it middle school? Middle school. I was in the gym with two of my friends, and we either had the choice of playing in games or walking and talking, doing laps, whatever. So my friends and I, we usually like walk and talk and stuff. One of my friends, I remember her telling me that I sounded white, that I sounded like a white person. And that was the first time in my life that I had ever heard that. I think I was like, shit, I don't know, 11, maybe 12, I think. And I was just so confused because I've never thought of that before. Like, I sound white. White has a sound. Like, when I was starting to think about it and how I talk, it's like, oh, well, I guess you could say that, or like, I guess a stereotypical, like the way maybe a white girl would sound. But still, like, that was the first time I heard that, I was very shocked and surprised, but ever since then, I feel like I've heard that from time to time, and it's kind of become a joke to me. I make a joke that I was a white woman in another life, and I died in a car crash and was reincarnated into a black woman's body. I do that all the time. I personally think it's really funny, but it made me, like, really think about, like, why how do I sound white? People tell me I sound like a valley girl from California. And you find out is because, well, one, I mean, maybe it's the pitch of my voice and stuff, but it's mainly because I talk quote unquote properly. And I say quote unquote because is there really a proper way to speak? Because proper is honestly a standard that society has created as what's like high class and stuff. Anyway, that's a whole nother fucking conversation, but still, I'm seen to have spoken quote unquote properly. But it's just how my parents have spoken. And I think it was because I didn't use a lot of AVE at the time, probably, or I didn't have like maybe like a southern accent or a distinct accent from certain areas where there are black communities. And I'm just like, this is just how I've always talked. This is how my parents talk, so therefore this is how I talk. And also, my mom and my grandma were very like adamant on grammar, so it's like I didn't really have a fucking choice. But that's one thing. And then also telling me that I act white, which I didn't know how I acted white, that one really confused me. I mean, I don't know if it was the things that I liked, which I don't, now that I think about I don't know what things, well, I guess things that are not stereotypically black. I think at the time, for example, I wasn't that into rap music. Like rap music was not something I really liked at the time. I liked a lot of like EDM and shit like that and electronic music. Um, but yeah, that's the first thing, like being told, like even like at times now that you sound white or that you act white, and therefore like it makes me think like, huh, like, I am black, but I'm not black enough in the sense of the way I sound and act. Kind of talking in circles here. You like as a black person, or even your style as a black person can make you like quote unquote less black. For example, I feel like a lot of stereotypes when it comes to black people is like the hood or ghetto or street fashion or liking rap music. Or with the guys, maybe like they sag their pants or the girls wear like big eyelashes and like it's just like a lot of stereotypical shit, right? But I mean, I feel like those are more extreme stereotypes, but there is a look. There is a look and a vibe to a black person that is a stereotype. Whether it's a stereotype of people who aren't black or it's a stereotype within the black community that's the level of black. I don't know if I'm making any sense. Me, for example, I've always considered myself to be weird, like in a good way. I've always considered myself to be very weird, a little kooky, a little quirky. Like that's just always been me. I guess the things that I like too. I mean, I can't really think of an example. I feel like black people fuck with anime and manga, so I don't think I can really say that. What do I like that would be considered out of the norm? Well, I can't think of anything, but one thing I can also think of is like fashion. Black people will have their own niches or they'll be a part of like certain niches and that'll be like their whole vibe, their whole style. So like alternative, for example, like I consider myself an alt girl even though I don't have the wardrobe yet. But in the black community, it's like if you don't like look the part or like things for the part, you're less black and you're treated differently. And this isn't all the time in all spaces because you can totally find black people who are into the same things as you or won't shame you for those things. Even if they don't like those things, they're not going to say, oh, you're less black or you're whitewashed. That's the thing right there. That's the word that is like so it's like so shameful. You're whitewashed. You could get this for people who, like me, are alternative or whatever like that. Or you could get this for people who like like I just told you earlier, like talking properly. Or maybe if the individual grew up in like middle class or middle upper class, they're considered whitewashed because their parents have money, which that's another thing. It's like if you don't grow up in poverty, you're less black. It's like you're still black. You just grew up in a different like is it a class? You grew up in a different class or with more money. That doesn't make you less black. But yeah, it's like you'll be shunned for those things and called whitewashed and then you don't feel like you're really a part of your community. Like you question like is the fact that I'm the way I am or I like to dress this way or I like this thing or that thing or the way or because I talk this way does that make me less black? It doesn't. Newsflash. I mean, duh, no shit. But it's like there's people who would think otherwise. They'd be like, "Oh, like that's not black enough." All of this rambling to kind of get to how I feel in black spaces. I love my community very dearly. Like even thinking about, oh my god, I sound like a white girl. I really do love my community dearly. It took me a long time to love being black. Might sound crazy, but self-hate was an issue of mine in the past. I love being black. I love my complexion. I love black people. I love black people. I love my community. I love our culture. I love our diversity. I adore it all. I adore it. And I want to be like I've wanted to be in more black spaces because I literally love my community to death. Like, come on now. But it's been hard for me to feel like I fit into those spaces because of all that passion of saying I sound white, I act white, I'm not black enough, or I'm whitewashed. It has created this mindset that I cannot fit into black spaces, specifically in real life. Online's different because, you're not face to face with these people. And I feel like people are a bit more accepting. They can be. They can be. I say they can be because it's like you can come across people who be like saying all those things like whitewash, whatever. But I have tried being in black spaces, specifically when I was in university. It was hard for me. Aside from the fact that I get very anxious in social situations, especially if I don't know anyone there or I don't have a friend with me, I felt like I didn't fit in. And it felt like I wasn't going to fit in. Um, and this could be my fault because like, oh, I didn't talk to anybody. I'm bad at starting conversations with people because I have to think about the interaction before I do it, or I feel like I and maybe it's my fault because I'm not the best with like just talking to strangers or I don't go to enough of the meets to give it a chance, but it's like I just feel so off. And I feel like everyone in the room is judging me even if they're not looking at me. It's like I don't to put it simply, I don't feel like I'm worthy enough to talk to other black people in real life. That sounds so weird to say, but it's something I realized about myself like last year. Like for example, I tried and I paid for it too, kind of wasted my money. I thought I was going to commit to it. I joined an organization at my university. And it was for women in general, but it was mainly like black women and then people of color. And I'm like, I want to be around more black women like, I want to have more black girlfriends and stuff like that. I felt like around these other women like I interact with people like very little Maybe only because I was sitting next to them, we were doing some kind of activity, but, like, I felt like I wasn't worthy enough to talk to them because they're on this higher standard of what Blackness is, and I'm not on it. I don't look the part, I don't sound the part, I'm not the part. Aside from the anxiety, it just didn't work. I stopped going, and I just sort of I gave up. I gave up trying to, like, specifically at my university, like, find other Black people for me to befriend or become acquaintances with or hang out with. And that's something I've always wanted. It was more of a social life during university, but it's like even like in high school, I thought things were gonna be different. It wasn't really that different. I didn't go out that much. Every time I was out, I would see like people together in general with their friends, whether it's one person or a whole group, but it's like I see other Black people with other Black people, and I'm like, I wish that were me. But this mindset that I've developed due to, I mean, a lot of influences, it kinda sucks, and it made me feel, like, hopeless, like, "Oh, I don't think I can really ever be in Black spaces in real life unless it's, like, with my family." But I haven't seen, like, most of my family in a long time. But it's like, even so, like, now I'm like, would they even accept me for who I am now? Like, I haven't seen them in years. I've changed a lot. Would they accept me for who I am? That's me talking about not feeling Black enough. This is a more vulnerable topic in a sense because when it comes to talking about things about race, people will often belittle your experience. But fuck that shit. I don't give a fuck. This is my experience, but it's not only my experience, it's other Black people's experiences and it's other people's experiences in other communities as well. So I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to be vulnerable, but that's genuinely how I feel. And it's something I'm still working through to this day. So that's it for this video. You related to anything that I said, whether you're hey, if you're another Black person, let me know. Whether you're a Black person, even if you're not Black, you can understand where I'm coming from. I like to read the comments and yeah, till the next video, whatever I talk about.